Hi everybody, and welcome to Observing with Webb, where a high school astronomy teacher tells you what you're looking at, why it's so cool, and what you should check out later this month at night. This is December of 2017. Don't forget to check out my Podbean page, mrwebb.podbean.com, my YouTube channel, username mrwebbpv, and my Twitter feed of the same handle. You can also get my podcast on Stitcher and iTunes now. So we've got the holidays upon us, and we've got some non-magical awesomeness happening in the skies this December, including we've got a great Geminid Meteor Shower, we've got the winter constellations appearing, we've got 3 or 2 morning planets, depending on how you count, and also the year-end occultation of Aldebaran by the moon. So with that, let's get started with the planets. Alright, I have this set up for December 15th, and let's see what we can see at just about sunset, which is about 4:40 p.m., which is pretty early. Let's go a little bit further. Let's go like 6 o'clock, and nothing of the naked eye planets. Now, Neptune's up here, but you need a telescope. Uranus is up here, but you need a telescope. So let's go ahead around the ecliptic and see when we can actually see something pop up. So let's look toward the east, and let's fast forward through the night. And ooh, it is a lot of night. Let's see. Oh, there's Ceres, a nice asteroid or minor planet that's up there. Oh, Leo's rising up early in the morning. Oh, the ecliptic is shifting a little bit, and oh, there's Mars. Okay, rising up about 4 in the morning. Mars is right here with bright Spica right nearby. They are similar brightness, but Mars will be dimmer than Spica and definitely redder. And so what you'll notice is after 4 in the morning, you'll be able to see, oh, and there's Jupiter. Jupiter is going to be really bright. Mars and Jupiter are kind of hanging out together this month. And that's it for the planets that you can really see. However, let me go back in time to the 1st of December. And let me go to sunrise and back up just a little bit. You might be able to catch Venus. In fact, today is the 29th of November, and I was able to catch Venus on my ride into school this morning, except it was in that orange part of dawn where it's tough to see, but you can definitely see it with your naked eye. It will get harder to see as it gets lower. But you'll notice in the beginning of the month, Mars is much closer to Spica, and Jupiter is right in between those two. And you'll notice that as the days go by, Jupiter goes a little bit higher and higher. Mars kind of stays in the same spot. And by the 30th or 31st, they're actually really close together over here. And you might be able to catch Mercury, but that's tougher because it's dimmer. But you'll notice that Mars and Jupiter get pretty close by the end of the year. In fact, if we zoom in, just go with me real quick, they will get closer together and be about as close as they get on January 6th, but that's for another month. So if you want to see planets this month, either find Venus in the first week or Jupiter and Mars any time of the rest of the month in the mornings.
And a bunch of other stuff.
So what about the other stuff? Well, on the 3rd of December is when we have a full moon. The full moon will rise in the east right around sunset. It will actually coast, let me get this going. It'll coast across the sky, okay, and it'll be highest in the south right around midnight, and then it'll set in the, oh, there we go, in the west right as the sun is rising. And then you want to look in the morning for December 10th. We've got the first quarter moon. That means the left half of the moon is lit up, and you can see it anywhere from about midnight and even into the morning. You can actually see it in the dawn sky and even into the morning sky. But that's not the interesting part of this month. The interesting part of this month comes when you notice, watch this, you'll notice that the moon, morning by morning, and let me go back to sunrise, you'll notice that the moon gets closer and closer to Mars and Jupiter. Now, let's talk about December 12th to December 15th. There's 2 things going on. One, we've got close encounters between the moon, Mars, Spica, and Jupiter. Number 2, we've got the Geminid Meteor Shower. Let's start with the Geminid Meteor Shower. Now, if you take a look at the sky, and let me go to the 13th, if you take a look at the sky, you'll notice that the moon is a thin crescent right there. That means it's very little light pollution, and it's not even up until looks like about 4 in the morning. So it's a great time for the Geminid meteor showers. In fact, they're saying maybe about 100 meteors per hour, which is really good. Now, that depends on your light pollution levels. I expect less, maybe 60 an hour. That's about 1 per minute in Lancaster County. We'll see. But what you want to do is find a dark location and lie down in a reclining chair or a swimming pool floaty or something that insulates you from the ground. You don't want to touch the ground because it really conducts your heat energy away very quickly. But bundle up, and you want to look at the whole sky. Let me go to sunset on the 13th, and let's go to about 6 p.m. when it's pretty dark. And now you want to look at the whole sky, as wide of a field as you can. Now, technically, the meteors are going to be coming from what we call the radiant, which is in Gemini. Now, over here is where Gemini is. So in the beginning of the night, they should be coming from Gemini. So they'll probably be moving east to west, or maybe in some sort of similar direction. But they all should pretty much come from Gemini over here in the east. Now, throughout the night, what's going to happen is Gemini is actually going to move across the sky. And right around, looks like 1:30 in the morning, it's going to be as high in the sky as possible. So you'll be looking at meteors coming from the south and kind of going toward the west, or going toward the east, or going toward the southern horizon, or even going toward the northern horizon behind you. But that's where it's going to be. Don't look at Gemini because you won't see as many, but look around Gemini. And then as we get closer to the morning, it'll be close to setting in the west, and so you might want to look toward the east to see all of these. Okay? But anyway, also you might want to adapt your eyes to the dark, so turn the lights off inside your house first. Get used to the dark where it's warm, and then walk out and check this out. Also, if you're feeling extra nerdy, you can do a scientific meteor count. There are some links for Sky and Telescope and the International Meteor Organization. Or you could find out if your local astronomy club is holding a viewing party. Maybe they've got a good way to do that, or a good location. Okay, so that's the Geminid Meteor Shower. Get out there and find some meteors. If you have a camera, set it up for a long exposure. Maybe you can get 1 or 2 Geminids. I've tried. I think I've only gotten 1. Not so great. Let's talk about the 12th to the 15th. Okay, let me go back to December 12th, and let's zoom in the morning. Okay, you've got, whoa, there we go. Here's what we've got going on. In the southeast, we've got a nice lineup with Jupiter, Mars, Spica, and the moon. Now, the nice thing is that Jupiter will be very bright and very easy to find. Mars will be up and to the right, and it'll be red. Red will be its distinguishing color, even though it's a bit dimmer. And then you've got Spica, which is pretty bright, but still brighter than Mars, but nowhere near Jupiter. Then you've got the moon. That's an easy one to find. So let's talk about the moon. So what you should notice is on the 12th, the moon will be up here, Spica, Mars, Jupiter. The next morning, the moon will actually have moved, so now you've got Spica, Mars, and the moon making a really cool triangle in the morning sky. And then on the 14th, the moon will have moved down toward Jupiter, much closer there. And then on the 15th, it'll be a very thin crescent moon with Jupiter, Mars, and Spica all up and to the right of the moon. And this should make a really cool picture opportunity, especially as dawn kind of creeps in and makes it look cool. But you have 4 days where hopefully one of those 4 days you'll have some good weather so you can go out and check this out. Now, if you notice, the moon is getting lower and thinner, and what you might find out is that on the 18th of December is the new moon. That's the darkest skies, which means the moon starts to become a sunset off in the west object. There we go. On the 19th, it'll be a little higher, a little still thin, still hard to see. On the 20th, a little bit higher. And on the 21st, we have a nice crescent moon. We also have the winter solstice. It's the longest night and the shortest day of the year for the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere has the opposite. And if you keep watching the moon over the next couple days, you'll notice that it gets bigger, thicker, higher in the sky. Well, not bigger, but higher in the sky. And then on the 26th is when we have the first quarter moon, where you see the right half of the moon is lit up, and you can see that from sunset until about midnight. Now, the last cool thing about the month is the 30th. Now, let's take a look. Let's go to about 6 p.m. and let's watch the moon as it moves across the sky. Okay, 27th, it's moving kind of right along the ecliptic, and then on the 30th, ooh, it's right in there in Taurus. Okay, and in fact, so here we've got the V of Taurus, and we've got the bright star Aldebaran right here. It's pretty bright. Let me center on Aldebaran. And let's zoom in and let's take a look and see what happens. Now, normally you don't see the moon moving across the sky. However, you can see that sort of motion if you are watching very closely and you have a star, which is a nice reference point. So what you notice is, as the minutes go by, the moon actually moves across, and right at about 6:20, 6:21, depends on your location, but around 6:20, 6:21, the moon is going to cover up Aldebaran, and right on that dark side. So it's going to be pretty neat. You're not going to be able to predict it because the dark side of the moon, you can't see it. And then what's going to happen is the moon's going to keep moving across, and then right around, oh, there we go, right around 7:11, 7:12, right around there, Aldebaran's going to reappear on the other side of the moon, on the lit side. And it's going to be really neat. I'm going to see if I can Facebook Live this for everybody. We'll just have to see what things I have going on. But that's going to be really cool. You don't normally see that. And it's at a perfect time of the night, 6 to 7 o'clock. Perfect. Really good time. It's the 30th. It's the day before New Year's Eve. Good time to check this out. So anyway, there should be a link in the description, a website that'll tell you exactly when that'll happen for where you are. And that leaves us with just one thing left, the constellation.
Are there patterns in our skies? Are patterns only in our eyes?
So what constellations can we see? Well, right now I have it set up for mid-December, and which is pretty close to the holidays. You know, it's a good time to get out there. And at about 6 p.m., it's already pretty dark, and you can see the great square of Pegasus up here with the little curves of Andromeda over here. Really neat to see. That's pretty much straight up in the sky when you're there. In fact, you can still see, they sort of hang around these summer triangles. Cygnus the Swan over here, Cygnus the Swan, Aquila, or Aquila, whatever, the eagle, and Lyra the harp. The reason they stay there is because the sun is setting earlier and earlier, so they're still out for us to see. Now, over on the other side, you start seeing Taurus over here coming up. That's one of the winter constellations. Now, let me move forward a bit. Let me move to, what's a good time? Oh, let's go 8:30. That's good. That gets up all the winter constellations over here. Now, if you're looking over here in the east, you can see all these constellations. Now, first of all, Orion is the fun one to find, right? It's more on its side at 8:30, so I think of it as more of a bow tie. And what you do is you take the little knot of the bow tie, or Orion's belt, and you use it to help you find some others. So what you can do is you can actually take Orion's belt, start at the bottom or left star of Orion's belt, and just move to the right to the top star and follow that line. Now, it's almost perfect, but all the way about 20 degrees, okay, all the way to this star Aldebaran. And that's about 20 degrees, so that's two fists held at arm's length, okay, from your perspective. So from here to here, about, okay. And there you'll find Aldebaran, Taurus. Now, if you go up just a little bit further, let me zoom out a little bit. you go to Aldebaran, you can go a little bit further and you'll find the Pleiades, a beautiful bunch of stars all together. Now, if you go the opposite direction, in fact, let me go forward in time just a little bit. If you go the opposite direction with the belt, you'll find the brightest star, which is Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, which is part of Canis Major. And also, you see this sort of circle here, kind of a circle of very, very bright stars. That's one of the ways that I use to find different constellations. Okay, so what I can do is, if I can find Orion right here, I can take the right leg or right knee or foot, depending on how you draw it. That is Rigel, one of the brightest stars, and I go down here to this very bright star, which is Sirius in Canis Major. Then I move over to the left to this bright star, which is Procyon in Canis Minor, the little dog. And then I keep moving up to here. You see these two bright stars, which are Pollux and Castor in Gemini. Then I keep moving to this bright star up here, which is Auriga, the bright Capella, which is the brightest star in Auriga. And then you come back around here to the Eye of Taurus the Bull, which is Aldebaran. And yeah, so you've got some really good, cool things to look at around the holidays if you're taking some breaks. Don't forget that you also want to look in the morning. You can find Leo in the morning, and if you keep going further, you can also find, don't forget, Mars and Jupiter out there in the east in the morning as well. So anyway, I'd like to wish you very clear dark skies for the meteor shower, for the occultation, and the entire month of December. Happy holidays.